like to call this Planning Commission meeting to order. All members are present. We have established quorum. Do need to administer an oath. If anyone plans on speaking at today's meeting, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth to this commission? Yes. Thank you. Disposition of the last meeting minutes. They are attached at the back of your agenda. If everyone has not had a chance to review them, if you do so briefly.
Under the Greensleaf landscape discussion, we asked and received clarification that they were going to be using the public water there and not drilling well. I guess I would like to have that included.
I think in this in the same section, page 2 of the minutes, this would be the first full paragraph. It says Paul Logue advised the commission that the wellhead committee reviewed. I believe that was actually the service safety director. She mentioned that.
Your review was on the floodplain issues.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments or corrections?
No, I move we accept the minutes.
I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor of accepting last meeting's minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Move on to the next item is cases. Today we do not have any cases on the agenda, am I correct? Okay. Moving on to communications. Our first communication, it concerns the Far East Side rezoning request. Just want to follow up and make sure that that is still proceeding as planned with the notifications in the newspaper, as well as to address these near the zoning change. Sean?
What is it, the May 2nd, right? Mm-hmm.
7:30, I thought?
7:15
Okay.
at the community center. It's been posted in the paper last Sunday.
This just states the publication, but the letters have not been sent out. I think that's what Nicholas was asking.
The letters have not been sent yet, but they need to be mailed 20 days prior to at the latest, and Charlene and we worked on that yesterday to confirm all the addresses.
Okay.
Based on the discussion from the Planning Commission, we were only going to mail to the addresses that are required in code, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yes, that's what we're taking care of.
And then, Mr. Pascal, we had requested having signs posted at some of the entrances into that neighborhood. Do you think that's something you'd be able to accomplish? I guess 20 days to go, maybe just go with the same timeline as the mail notification?
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
I'll have to maybe get Engineering Public Works to make us up some more things to put out, but we can get that done.
Okay. I guess another possibility is would we be permitted to use the community center sign?
Sure.
Since it's right there, and that might...
Normally, we put it up like that week of.
Yeah,
to
that's
kind of
fine.
say,
Okay.
zoning change meeting.
All right, well, that's good to hear. So that is, again, scheduled for May the 2nd at the community center beginning at 7:15 p.m. It'll be the public hearing about the Far East Side rezoning request. All right, any other discussion on
You
that
said
one?
May 2nd, right?
Go ahead.
It's on the back.
No, but I thought you just said May 17th.
Or May 2nd, sorry.
May 2nd.
I may have... Okay. And that is a Wednesday. So we will not be meeting on that Wednesday at noon here, though.
No.
All right. That gives you a little more time before your press conference, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Moving on to the next item in our communications, we have the business zone changes, proposed changes. They've, again, provided to you in your packet. This is Title 3 zoning code, and this is page 4 through 13 at the bottom. Everyone's had an opportunity to review these proposed changes that I've made.
Okay, and let's see. I remember I scribbled on one of them. Actually, I have two copies, and obviously one scribbled and one isn't. So looking at this, we've changed some of the proposed zoning district, as you say, intent up there in A, moved everything around. So a B1 would actually now have eating and drinking places, restaurants, not including entertainment, dancing, not including drive-in and drive-through restaurants.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
That was there before, it was really just being moved into that under principal permitted uses.
So there's no oversight, that would just go right through code.
Right.
Okay. Whereas conditionally permitted uses would require overview.
By the BZA.
Yes.
Would have to
Okay.
review any conditionally permitted use.
Okay, so the B2D district says residential here. Dwelling units only when located above permitted principal uses with the district in which the subsection applies. This would be page 5 of 13. Okay, so, let's see.
And it's the key word there is above other permitted principal use within the district, this subsection applies. So it would mean, residential would have to be above another one, either convenience business, office, business and professional, retail or service establishment. What this also does is define parking under an accessory. So it cannot be considered, and it says principal permitted use. It's only accessory to a permitted use.
And again, okay, that's permitted though, so therefore there's no oversight from zoning board of appeals.
Exactly. As long as they're
As a
in
principal.
accordance with the off-street parking requirements of Table B.
What if it was a primary use and not an accessory use?
You would not be permitted in the B2 zone to do that.
So a parking lot or a parking garage in a business zone, freestanding of their own, would not be permissible in a business zone.
In a B2.
Well, I think you've got it in a B3 later on the same way.
You could only use it as an accessory, and that's currently how we have it in, it's not clear, but that seemed to be everyone's intention.
We'll make sure that's where we're going here.
That's it.
Would you say that not using the term second story could be a problem at some point in the future? I mean, story is a word that, the label story, the term story has been defined in the code, and I just wonder if saying above, I'm a little concerned about that.
I think this,
It's
again,
implied, I know. But
right, no, well, and I think it's non-implied too. I mean, the concern was I had that if you considered a basement a story because some of it being exposed, if you get to a certain percentage of exposure, the basement level counts as a first story now. So conceivably, it would mean that you would be getting the residential unit at a different level. And I think we're always trying to say that it's got to be, any level above is fine.
Okay. So as you see it, B2, B1 is tightening it up, as you see it?
As I see it, yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
yeah.
I'm on another
After
topic,
you,
so
after you.
continue with that if you need to.
Yeah, again, I think it's just trying to make it clear that it has to be just above that. I think we ran into an issue where if something can count as a basement level, so then you have a basement, a first story, and that means the residents can't actually be up until the second story, so now you're really kind of 3 stories up, was the concern. I think we're just trying to make sure, I'm trying to make clear here that it can just be one level below, has to be either convenience business.
One, that exact same, under section 5, as it's written in our code today and as it's suggested here, residential, any use permitted and is regulated in the residential district adjoining the zone is permitted. Which means that a B1 that adjoins an R3, then an R3 use is entirely permitted in the B1. And if our goal for B1s is to have businesses, I would suggest that we say the same thing.
Right.
Primary use must be business and second story or above, or however that should be written, then residential would be permitted.
Yeah, that was, right now, as you said, it's just moved where it's located, but that's how it is written currently in the
Right,
B1
right.
district, that residents, as long as if there's an R1 adjacent a B1, it means you could just have a single-family house within the B1.
And that's what he's saying, do we
Right.
want that?
Right.
But if you're adjacent to an R3, you can go up to an R3, you can
Right.
have an R3 residential use on a B1 parcel without any business use.
The reason they're bringing this up is the fact that what do they call it, suds and duds?
Dirty duds.
Dirty
Dirty
duds?
duds, I think.
Dirty deeds, dirty deeds.
That we approved some years back, that
at
had the
the
laundromat
last year.
underneath, is now submitting to, the laundromat is no longer there, submitting for residential. Since it abuts an R3, we've lost that commercial.
Right, yeah. And in the first edit of this, I did change that where everything was above, and I think, I wasn't sure if there was any consensus on the commission to make that change, but I think it is a great idea to make all the business zones where dwelling has to be above. Again, any current single-family house that's in a B1 or uses is grandfathered in, as always, but,
But this language,
no, this
Would not
language,
do-
no.
Okay.
I would, absolutely not, and that's what Paul's making clear. But, so I would then suggest then we move the residential as it's written in B2 District B1, move that same language over to 5.
The B2 to be moved over to
Yeah, how that's,
5? Okay.
how residential is described in the B2, principal permitted uses.
so the
would-
language would come out that states if a lot adjoins two or more different categories.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole line would be stricken and changed to residential, dwelling units only when located above other permitted principal uses within district to which this subsection applies. So in the B1, it could only be an office or retail and service establishment or eating and drinking place, not a convenience business.
Okay, can I jump tracks here? The B2D downtown business zone, that would be A4. I'm not sure what that means. It sounds like maintenance and improvements of streetscape, its public entities are responsible, should be upheld in the public sector's provision of infrastructure and private sector development projects. Does that mean we're taking responsibility for a whole mess of stuff, or what's that mean from the city's point of view? I'm not sure what that means. Is it, I don't know, I guess.
I think what it means is oftentimes when we review projects that go through here, we ask, is the sewer capable of, accounting for the additional units? Is the roadway able to accommodate additional cars going into that area? And we're looking particularly here at the Uptown Business District. We do have a streetscape plan that is in effect and that has been built. And I think we want to make sure that any development that goes in place is going to preserve that streetscape that we've already have in place. Now, I think the public sector has already, provided the infrastructure. It's already in place. But if we were to be changing a streetscape plan, to sort of public-private, make sure we can work together.
I think our Title 41 review process takes care of that, though. If the infrastructure is not accommodating, then it's we know it before it even comes here, and we work that out ahead of time.
Nancy?
I choked on that when you were gone.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
it says, it's really part of the purpose, the way it's written. And you
Okay.
could slub it into that, so it would just become part of the principles that are part of the purpose. Because I didn't want it to be actionable, because I can remember times when we paid for somebody else's idea.
That's why I was concerned.
Yes, I know.
We went to Taj Mahal on North Court, and you're responsible for it.
The city will pay for it, yes.
I didn't understand what was the thrust of it. Really, what you're talking about is better coordination with the infrastructure and limitations of infrastructure.
Yeah, and, and I think if it's, I think what we're getting hung up on is the whole public sector, private sector provisions, in that, we could just sort of say, appropriate district standards and, public amenities, shall promote, kind of lump it into what's going on in the item 3 above that.
I just want to state I'm concerned with your shalls. because you shall adhere to the following principles. So, and then they're listed. And again, in number 3, there's another shall.
Right.
I just want to point out again that the planner is working on a historical designation kind of separate chapter that he's going to have prepared here probably in the next couple months. So.
So what I was hearing from Nancy was that this is actually more like intent and not actual, but
Right.
that's the question when you put shells in.
And, it is treating the downtown business district as something unique. I don't go into so much detail on the other purposes other than saying it's for the neighborhood, the B1, or for the community, or for the region in B3. What this one does is just very specific about the downtown. I think, again, it's something that maybe it's not ready to be put into the changes to the code. We maybe should wait and see what the historic district title is going to look like first, and maybe at that time we tie those two together in the purpose, and shall adhere to the principles set forth in title. What that title be, because there are a number of historical buildings within that district. So I would suggest then we would, really it could strike after the uptown area and the purpose. The B2D downtown business zone shall ensure the implementation of plans and vision for the uptown area. Without particularly citing what those visions are.
And then go straight to B?
And then go straight to
Becomes A.
principal permitted uses, yeah, so strike 4, 3, 2, 1 in the last sentence and under paragraph A.
Okay.
And it's not to say, I'd like to later go back to those, but,
And we're considering the historic area to be an overlay district, right, within the code? Not a standalone
It'll be a separate chapter, but ideally there would be an
chapter.
overlay zone.
So they could lead in with that in this
Yeah.
other
Right.
chapter.
I noticed it looks like in your other purposes for the B2s, B3, it specifically states that the goal is to promote something, or the purpose is to promote. And so maybe you just want to reflect back on
right,
the B2D is also to promote a certain type of field, just like the B1 or the B3 is.
all right, so let's say the downtown business zone, trying to get the verbiage
Which
somewhere.
is shall ensure and promote the implementation
Oh,
of
well,
plans.
I'll get these. All right, so I'd say the B2D downtown business zone promotes the uptown area's uniqueness and character.
Rather than reinforce.
Right.
Okay. Okay, and in the B2D, I see you have conditionally permitted uses being drive-through windows.
As a right now it is a principally permitted use.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying, well, we can still leave it in there, but conditionally so the BZA can review it on a case-by-case basis. If, something on Fern probably can't have a drive-through. And there really isn't any location I can imagine on the B2D. So it could be stricken, but I at least want to get it out of the principally permitted.
While you're on that
uses.
subject, though, you had it conditionally permitted use in a B3, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there are some, right, as it was currently written, if I remember, that it was just a principally permitted drive-through window. But, there's some B3 right up against residential zones, and there was no limitation on distance. So if we move it back into principally permitted use, I'd at least like to match the distance requirement that is in the, we have it, I think, in the B2 district. I think it's 200 feet from a residential zone. That's so eating and drinking establishments was
It was
principal
at
branch
200,
of-
B3 was at 200 feet for a
Yeah.
drive-through before.
Yeah,
Principally permitted as long as it's 200 feet away. And so you've taken that out and put it in as a conditional use, or a,
yeah, that it still had to be
All the time.
reviewed. Like, for example, why I thought this was important is that eating and drinking establishments is the only place where drive-throughs were listed. But banks have drive-throughs. There's a couple banks on Stimson Avenue that have drive-throughs that there really was nothing to review those.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So what I was trying to do is taking out of specifically eating and drinking establishments,
I'll move it to drive-throughs in general.
drive-throughs in general, and then it should be reviewed by the BZA. Now, we could just approve drive-throughs in general and say 200 feet is another way to look at it.
Curb cuts? Actually, there's overview from your side, right, for curb cuts for drive-throughs? But that's not really part of the code here, it's just a...
Yeah, I'm not quite, the concern I would think is mostly an issue of queuing, whether cars are backing up on the roadway as well as exhaust for the exhaust and noise from proximity to residential, correct?
Yeah.
So
We have
I could still see that being an issue in a bank as much as it is in a restaurant.
Okay.
I know this isn't highlighted, not even addressed, but where are we with trailer parks? I thought they were sunset in the city, and
They're not permissible within the city limits unless they're currently existing. As they leave, they're
13?
they're gone.
Is that because the state allows us to make that change, or how is that you can,
That in our code, I mean, I don't know.
We just did it.
the state, okay.
No, no.
City.
so isn't there not something that we should...
We have to have
Since we're
some
doing
type
some
of- yeah.
revisions, would we not, was that done via ordinance,
Still
Sandy,
conditionally.
or Nancy? Sorry.
Thank you.
That's how she looks like, Andy.
All right.
Yeah, I thought we have to designate some area for them.
I thought we did, and it was down on, down where Soul and Bloom just built.
Look, yeah, Harold Avenue.
That, but then, is
The
that
one off
else?
of Townsend area? No, it's,
It's further east.
Yeah.
Like where the credit union is and the little Friendly Paws Pet
yeah, I
Supplies.
forget the
Right
name of
next
this
to
track.
Aldi's,
Put the one back behind.
Robinson's, old
There's
Robinson's.
one behind Max. Is that the one you're talking about?
We should probably check, if we're going to be making changes, we might as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two questions. One is simple, convenience business is defined.
Yeah, I don't know if those definitions were not provided here. I did send them to Sharp, but I think it predates this last edit, so.
Okay, and it's, all right then.
So convenience business was defined as well as retail and service establishment.
Okay. And so you really want central businesses more than convenience businesses here, right?
In
In the B2D?
B2D,
Just a small point. The other one is number one, and I'm really choking on it, so I'm going to say, I don't think number one, as it's currently designed, is going to work in the uptown area. I mean, you guys, maybe I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong on this one, but if you say located above other permitted uses, then you could have, like, Athens Underground, which I know is in a B2 zone, and then you could put residential on the first floor.
Athens Underground is in B3, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
talking North
B3.
Court.
Yeah.
They never got changed.
I know, but I mean, it's not in a B2, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I see.
right, but like,
Yeah.
for example, if the Woolworths building ever got developed in the basement, had
Yeah.
a business use, but the ground level
Right.
would imply,
So I think in the uptown area, just because of the nature of foot traffic, God bless it, which is so important to the success of those. I mean, we have a successful uptown having used whatever archaic language was there in the past, so,
it may be, instead of a story, we define a height.
yeah, maybe. Or else
But,
just say that all residential has to be, yeah, okay, at a height.
Or a ground level
Above a ground
above a ground level.
Yeah, and it's
opposed
gonna,
to-
they're gonna get tied in knots because some people spend all their time trying to get around the code. I think we need some thinking about that one because I was nervous. I mean, not that you wouldn't want to live at the first level, but,
It wouldn't be that good.
no,
Again, it could take away from the uptown commerce area.
because of the need for foot traffic, which is,
And we do have a few lower story, I think of Hoppers on Union, and as you say, the tanning parlor is by the Chinese buffet. And again, if Woolworths, if it got developed, the basement got developed, the first floor could turn into residential. Huh. Tricky.
that one needs to get firmed up so we don't have
Yeah.
any businesses. Even, I mean, you could imagine some kind of permutation in areas where there is a floor differential on a hillside.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There isn't one uptown that I can think of.
There are, and we do have residential units in basements of buildings uptown that exit then out the back at ground level, because maybe it's sloped down, behind Wendy's, for example.
Oh, yeah.
At the Phoenix? That was probably the PUD. I mean, I think it's probably not safe either. All right.
From our previous discussion, I showed delete drive-through window under conditionally permitted uses on B2. I don't show any other notation other than delete.
I wouldn't hear that conversation.
Okay,
So then it wouldn't be permitted in B2?
B2D?
Well, it was under the B2. Maybe that was just me.
You didn't say
She
anything?
deleted it.
I don't know. I can look at it.
I don't see having B2 drive-through. If there were the need for a drive-through window, there would probably be one uptown, and I can't think of one.
That might
There's-
Are you
the
saying
spaces-
B2 or B2D?
She's
I'm
talking
saying
about,
B2D.
yeah, Nancy's talking about B2T and Paul is talking about
Drive-throughs
B2.
and
Because
B2.
B2 is Richland Avenue.
B2 is not the
Okay.
issue.
So it
Yeah,
must have been B2D. I'm looking
Okay.
at a notation.
I just don't think we should tie ourselves in knots with it, because I think the land is too valuable to devote the space to that.
right.
I mean, I can't imagine putting a drive-through. I mean, you could put it in parking or something else and leverage some more student housing above it.
I'm in agreement that it should be, we should consider striking that from the B2D in entirety. That's not even a conditionally permitted use.
If they wanted to do it.
But I think we should still keep it in the B2
Sure,
as
I get that.
conditionally permitted,
Okay.
especially with the difficulty in renovating Richland Avenue because of all the
Are we going to
drive-throughs.
leave the distance requirement in on the B2 and the B3, though? I'm just thinking
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
on
sorry.
on the drive-throughs. I'm concerned about the number of cases. Every restaurant you're saying on East State right now would have had to have gone through the BZA for their drive-throughs,
No.
based on what you're saying here.
You mean because it's a conditional
Because it'd be a
permitted?
conditionally
Conditionally
permitted use.
use.
So that's a no.
It's B3 he struck out.
Heck, they'd be gone by the time they get through the zoning board. Some of them fail that quickly.
So if we put them in as a principally permitted use in B2, it's really, planning commission won't have much of a say, but service safety director's review and perhaps the engineering department would be really the only review of the drive-through.
Yeah, there's something that we've never tackled, and I know we're tackling a lot this year, but it's called transportation access management, in terms of having controls in place, defined, clear cut.
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's my concern with just having it as a principal permitted use without defining what those are. So I think it'd be difficult to say, this drive-through doesn't work, why it's principally permitted, and, without being able to point to, well, there's these control standards that. So I guess I would still keep it under conditionally permitted until there's standards that we can cite.
I know we talked about this a couple of years ago, trying to get a
Yes, we
policy,
did.
as well as a policy for elimination of curb cuts, because the proliferation, most of the time we've been doing it as a dialogue with a developer, saying, we want to restrict it, we're going to move this here or there. I think, is that how it works? Rick?
And the restrictions are really related to traffic flow and public safety.
Right.
It's not,
Ingress
it's
and
not
egress,
this.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Line of sight
So,
issues,
mhm.
corner, how close to a corner.
It is not that we don't want the businesses, we absolutely do, but we want to be able to have a,
Safety.
yes, control.
Yeah.
So Also, when you're putting together the final version, Nicholas, could you put retail or services first and offices second and maybe convenience or entertainment
What section are you in
third?
now?
B2D.
Yes.
I think that the primary use there should be first, which would be
I see what you're
retail or
saying.
services
Right.
establishments, and then secondly, offices. That could be co-equal with 1, and then 3 is entertainment, 4 convenience business as needed, and then 5 residential, because that's the spirit of the existing code. I mean, and I know it's really an important business use downtown, the residential part, but it is also a business.
That's good.
And then is this what you were referring to
Oh, do you have the definition?
always?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Could I see that, though? I might have the definitions in there is what I'm hoping.
Maybe the front page that I couldn't avoid on.
No, it's not
Okay,
this
good.
one. Thank you.
Nicholas, thanks for doing all the work.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back. I think that's a good point that Nancy made about prioritizing.
I suspect it's not, is it actually prioritizing, or is it just a number system? I
Just
mean,
the way we worked it, but I think
Yeah.
it's better to
Yeah.
have the...
And we could always put that under the purpose, but I don't know if you can really give priority to one over the other if they're all listed as principal permitted uses. But it's just something to, I think, help us when we're doing the review.
I think maybe the reason why residential is first, number 1, is because that's how we've always been tackling zoning. And anyway, R1, R2, R3, B1, B2, B3.
Yeah.
So, mindset-wise, we start residential and work our way up. But you're right, I have no problem with it either way.
This is new language anyway, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I'm afraid, maybe I'm wrong, but I think, maybe the law director's different now, but we have to do strike-through. And so not only will this be all new language, but council will go nuts because,
Of all the,
because it'll all be strike-through and then the new code, right?
it would look like this.
Yeah, and bold, and it's just like, what are we doing? Remember?
Yes.
One place to look at, and this is kept from the existing current code, is under the B1 neighborhood business zone. There were a number of items listed, and what I've kind of done is group where we sort of had the principal permitted use, and then we said it had to be according to the following general conditions. I've kind of grouped them now under it's principal permitted use and development limitations. That way, on some of them, we can say, all right, a principal permitted use is eating and drinking places, but its development limitation is that it can't include entertainment or dancing and not including driving or drive-through restaurant. Well, with these holdovers is the 1, 2, and 3, is that businesses enclosed building, they're just very, basic level production for sale at retail, use supposed to be non-objectional. This had a lot to do with it being, I think, in a B1 zone, that it was very small, typically within a neighborhood, not really set off from, with any boundaries or roadways. Do people think this is important that we still keep that language, the 1, 2, and 3?
I think we could add a 4 and a 5, actually. I would say, just in general, we lost the normal operating hours not after 9 PM. So you could have 24-hour operations here, which I think is not a neighborhood function. And the other thing is just maybe theoretical, but we would, in general, but not always serving the local community, the local.
Right.
So,
And that's where they're primarily hoping.
okay.
Not exclusive, but that's what it's,
Sorry, Nicholas.
Oh, I think the enclosed building thing is good, and I think all businesses will operate, generally, unless they go to the zoning board, 9 o'clock,
right.
10 o'clock.
Well, and the last one, the use must be non-objectional. It seems like, by already saying it's got to be retail and service establishment, and by definition what those are, and by definition what offices, business, and principal, that I don't know if it's really necessary to still have that one in there.
Well, non-objectionable to the zoning inspector would be it, and then you really don't know what the neighbors would think.
Right, exactly.
That's why I was thinking the normal operating hours seemed really important.
When did we lose the hours of operation?
Unless,
It might be in the business section somewhere else.
I don't know. I just remember in the
I remember seeing
vicinity.
it, looking back at some old stuff, but probably
I'll have to
since
look for
we've
it.
had more and more restaurants, bars, whatever, operating in the B1s, that's probably when it came out.
You don't want a beer store that's open all night. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't. Like, say down at the bottom of the hill on the way to West Elementary, if that thing operated until 1 or 2 in the morning, which might be a possibility, I don't think it would be acceptable.
unless you were in Milwaukee, I don't think so. We're not, Athens just typically does not have a pub at every corner sort of thing where there's, that's the type of establishment.
A pub might be okay, it's the carryout I was thinking.
No, I see, okay.
Get drunk inside, stay there.
Yeah. And that's where B1, convenience business is what you're describing, and that's currently not permitted in B1. And nor am I suggesting we add that.
So you're just saying retail and services
Right, and that's,
establishment, which is
I'm
generic.
sorry, I don't have the definitions with me, that'd
No,
be
Chris,
helpful.
you didn't mean this either? These- okay.
Yeah, that was the original,
All right.
too broad
Can you
brush
send
attempt.
that? Do you have it? I think I have what you have.
The definitions?
Yeah, do you have definitions?
The,
There were just 2 of them for convenience business and retail and service establishment. I see that.
yeah, convenience business, any place of business that is primarily engaged in the retail sale of groceries or both groceries and gasoline and is open for business at any time between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. The term convenience business does not include a business that is solely or primarily a restaurant, a business that has at least 10,000 square feet of retail floor space, or a business which is owned by a person who owns a business at no other location.
I think I'd stricken that one, but you didn't get that.
Number 3?
Yeah, that
Okay.
last ad, sorry.
And then the definition for retail and service establishment, establishments where 75% of the annual dollar volume of sales of goods or services or of both is not for resale and is recognized as retail sales or services in the particular industry. In addition, more than 50% of the establishment's dollar volume of sales of goods or services must be within the state in which the establishment is located.
And that's from the IRS, and the state has a similar definition.
Can we send that out and look at it again?
Yeah, I'll get it to you, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's-
Don't have it
I
in
may
front
have
of
been
you.
copied and I just don't have it.
There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, there is, and I just want to make sure we keep kind of pushing through.
Probably another time or two we might have it. That is an exceedingly broad definition for a neighborhood business, in my opinion.
Do you want to tweak it or change it? No?
Yeah, once you get, yeah, by all means.
I'm
I'm
not
just,
sure. I mean, it's okay for uptown because it really does fit. And the IRS definition makes sense. I'm going to go see if I can find some new urbanist definition of neighborhood.
yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest issue we had missing, is we didn't ever describe, I struck general business, because I couldn't find any,
Yeah, who knows what that is?
any definition that was out there in use. It just seemed, again, that was the biggest broad brush that,
Guess it's put up or shut up time. I'll do it before next time.
so. But, well, we look at those definitions, we'll look at, I'll change the prioritizing as well as edit the purpose under B2D and strike drive-through from conditionally permitted uses. We didn't really talk a lot about the B3, so take another look at that one. I mean, the B3 as it currently stands has a lot of development limitations already. I kept most of those in place.
And there's the trailer parks.
Your trailer park's still in there. I was, news to me that we are capable of saying it's no.
Actually, what you're doing is putting building standards in place. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So trailer parks, if you were to just call each one a individual parcel or something like that, it'd be different. And setback requirements, and then,
Could make a feasible pun.
I know they were fading.
I'll do the research on that one, Nicholas.
Okay.
So could we have it back in the current form? I mean, since we've kind of gone over a lot of these things with the ones that are still tentative in red, but everything else in blue, so we can get a feel for how it's looking? Please?
Do you want it without the,
With what you said already, you're cutting out
Yeah.
number 23046, those four.
yeah,
I don't necessarily think they have to be cut out. They could be slubbed into the previous paragraph, in my opinion, but that's, on the other hand.
just given a little less shall and more promote.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just, that would still stay in red then to see how it flows. But, there's a lot of stuff you've already resolved, and so let's get that in black.
Okay.
I mean, this is a version of it, but then you'd have some feeling for what's still out there that we haven't done, because I think you've got most of it done already.
Okay.
I mean, I do think you've accomplished a lot, Nicholas, and congratulations.
I will see. I do want to hold the discussion by the commission members for a few minutes. I see that there is a letter from Ron Luce concerning these very edits. He had been provided a couple copies from him attending the past few meetings. Ron, if you'd like to speak for a few minutes to the commission, you're more than welcome to. We would like to hold it to just 3 minutes, if you would.
Thank you. I think most of it is in writing, so I don't need to repeat all of that. I'm glad to hear some of the discussion that's going on here today. One of the key things that I thought needed to be clarified is that parking garages are not acceptable uses on the first floor, and I'm still not seeing how the language says that. But at any rate, the other issue that concerns me a great deal is the issue of the citizens' ability to interact with the various components of government. And I had asked, I wrote here 2 weeks ago, but it was actually 4 weeks ago, that when you first presented the first draft of these, that I presented a number of concerns that I have about the language in the code that I think had the commission read carefully, would have had more difficulty passing the Wasserman case. I also think that there was enough clarity in the code that had Mr. Lang read all of it, he would have responded differently than he did. I think there's a lot of problem in the code in terms of rights and responsibilities of the various agencies being scattered about rather than all in one clear place where it's easy to understand exactly who is responsible for what. I think there's a lot of working at cross purposes as a result of the lack of coordination in the way the various pieces of the code come together. I'm not blaming anybody for that, I just think it's a reality. And the second draft that was brought out, in my opinion, ignores all of my concerns about the rights of citizens. And I think that there is language in the code that very clearly says that there are ways that this issue that occurred could have been resolved short of insisting that the only resolution was to sue the city. I think there were several opportunities for people to do right things and to do things other than what they did, and that didn't happen. I still don't see any language in this version that deals with those issues. I find some of the language, though, I think some of the questions that were asked today were excellent in terms of some of the places that I find very problematic in the way it was written. I know this is hard work, and I understand that you're in a process, and I understand that this isn't your finished document, and therefore I'm trying not to be overly critical and say that this is just wrong. I know you're working on things, and I heard good discussion today. But I do feel very strongly that there is language in the code which would have protected a lot of people and which would have made a better decision had it all been clarified, and I'd like to have the opportunity to work with some other citizens and put some ideas forth. So I have asked Ed Baum if he would work with me, and I would like to have another person who would work with me. I don't know who that is yet, or I'd be happy to listen to a recommendation to present some language that I think would be appropriate to dealing with the other concerns that I have.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Lewis. I mean, I think this is just particularly with, I understand some of your comments are concerning with the business zone changes, and others are more concerned with the appeal process. The appeal process would not be, any changes would not be made in the business zones themselves in the draft provided here, but would be with the Title 41. I believe there had been some discussion about looking at Title 41, particularly with the timetable provided the Planning Commission and the city to review the development plans, getting specific there, so it isn't as much of a rush any longer, but still in a timely manner. So I think we had discussed possibly bringing up that item.
I brought this up before the city council the other night, and councilperson Fall told me that I had to present these things to you to get them changed. Now, I've talked with other people who say that's not true, but I'm just doing what she told me to do.
Right.
So noted, but, I mean, we make recommendations to city council,
Right.
but we're not doing a review of Title 41 with these changes right here.
Right, that's,
Okay, but within some of these decisions, I'm going to have to look back to my material. But I thought within this code, there were statements about what you were responsible for and remedies. So if that's true, then that needs to be looked at. If it's all contained in Title 41, and I need to go elsewhere, then city councilperson Fall doesn't seem to know that.
Well, could we just say that it's murky at this point in time? And was it before or after fluoride is what I want to know.
Yes,
That was a joke.
it is murky. I guess my point is that I think it all needs to be worked on simultaneously.
I think that there is a discrete package of things that would deal with that sort of administrative component. And if you and Ed Baum and some other person of your choosing would sit down and make a proposal, I think that this body would at least look at it. I'm only speaking for me, but I think it's not unheard of that citizens have come forward with proposals. Or start with the planner and see what he thinks. He's the one, and the co-director. And, I think is anybody else going to object if he brings forward something?
no, I mean, anyone can.
Well, I just heard a sharp intake of...
Who designates committees? Is that the city planner?
No, this would be an ad hoc
This would be
citizen.
murky. I mean,
Well,
as
it's
far
murky.
as,
Ad hoc citizens committee.
as far as my concern would be representation. Do you have a fair representation on your committee, or does somebody who disapproves of what you're thinking have to form their own ad hoc committee, and then we get into more chaos that way?
Well, I mean, I think the Planning Commission has put together, we've often made the suggestion of putting together a committee, and usually we task that with the mayor, who usually was kind enough to task Mr. Love with it. So.
You found another job.
Exactly. Such an example I'm thinking of is the sign. We had a sign committee that predates most members of the commission, but then...
Well, I'm thinking about historically the Armory,
Yeah.
where basically that was generated, from a few people that basically had a specific purpose already in mind, and that was kind of given a quasi-official committee status. And my concern would be that if you're going to designate committees, whoever, that there's more balance from the community and not just a group of people who have the same bent in terms of what they're trying to achieve.
Right, but there will be a difference whether the committee is appointed by the mayor and the commission, or if it's just a citizen group, and that we don't have any say.
We have had citizen groups come before.
Right.
The classic example is, of course, when North Congress wanted to go with a hang tag system because of the parking issues on North Congress. It was not generated by the city, it was grassroots. That can occur anytime. As long as they're not taking up arms and going into a coup mode, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so something like this is already addressed.
It sounds, Already addressed, what do you mean?
Or committees
It
are-
could,
Yeah, I
yes,
mean, you
yes.
can already do something like this anyway.
Yeah, and there could be more than one competing interests out there. I mean, if somebody comes across with an idea, again, the Armory situation, it wasn't like we changed it or acted on it. The North Congress going for a parking hang tags has not come into fruition. On the other hand, you look at the group that put together the rezoning. We're actually looking at rezoning of the Far East Side just because citizens groups come up, welled up, no authority from my point of view, no
Right.
blessing from my point of view. This is how democracy works. People put together a good, cogent argument, and we will look at it and we'll consider it.
And the sign
Yeah,
committee.
but I think where RJ's
balanced.
coming, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
I was saying the sign committee was a well-balanced group that was put together on their own, between
Yeah.
landlords and community members. And you look in a long change, a lot of changes, long resolution. I mean, it worked with both sides.
Is it resolved?
Sorry?
It's resolved now?
Yep.
Well, it is.
Well, it's enforced now,
Yes.
it's law. And again, really, that did require some,
Obviously, the-
we had two, if you remember, task force, and one did require my inception because we had to cite some landlords to get them to the table. So, well, we did, right? Am I making up history here?
No, I wasn't involved in it.
So, there are occasions where I can pull somebody together, but again, if there's an interest, I see we're working on this here just to address some of the problems, but we don't have we've got a point of view too that's limited, just where we are in times and energy.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, I think where Mr. Luce is coming from is that even if these changes work to some extent so that we can get the type of development we want to see, that for someone else, it still might not be what they want, and there should be a clear-cut appeal process that doesn't require litigation. And I think what RJ, where he's coming from, is that, just, if you're going to put together a committee of, an important thing, I mean, this could be an appeal process for title zoning, could be an appeal process for other changes the city makes, that it be well-balanced.
Well, is there a difference between a committee and a lobby group? I mean, at a certain point, if you all have the same point of view, is that more of a lobby group or is it more of a committee?
In Athens, 3 people with the same viewpoint? I doubt it.
The way
that's not true at
Councilperson Paul explained it, I could simply present my issues to her, and then she would present it to you and ask you to consider it. I felt it would be better for me to come here and ask you and tell you what I'm trying to do, and ask that you would at least consider it. Obviously, you have the right to ignore it if you wish to, but I would be much happier with whatever we do if I felt that the citizenry had a chance to look at it and review it before it just gets pushed into law.
Right. And they will, I mean, if we'll push a city council, it will be city council's task to do that, though. We'll make the recommendations here, and then city
I
council will
understand.
have to do a number of hearings before either voting yea or nay, correct, Nancy?
And then
But
the
I was
community
told,
has the right
I
to
was
address the
told
city
that
council.
anything that had anything to do with zoning had to come through you.
It's true.
Which sounds a bit strange that this group would make decisions about the Board of Zoning Appeals, but that's the way it sounded to me. If it has to do with zoning, you folks have to review it first.
That's the way I understand it. Title 23 is
Yeah.
purview of the planning commission. That's, again, that's my concept of it. And it doesn't mean that it can't come from council's recommendation. But again, it could come from council's recommendation, come to us, and then we accept it or reject it and send it back to them. They're the ones who make it law.
I've done that before.
Other sections of code, whether it's telecommunications or Title 41 for that matter.
Right.
It doesn't have to come through us, but it
No, I
eventually
understand.
comes, for safety's sake, it should come through us, at least for some purview.
Yeah.
It was, the way it was worded, from my recollection, was if it has to do with zoning, it has to come before this committee. So, that's fine, I'm just trying to follow the rules, so.
Well, if you could send us that language that you're particularly looking at, and, we'll take another look. Just email it to Charlene, I think is easy.
She'll disseminate it, yes.
It's going to take several weeks for
Oh,
us to do that, so.
No time to.
I would hope that before you pass anything on to the city council, you would at least look at it first.
It's,
I think they're different matters here, because I think this is the B zone, there's really no application within there for the appeal process, because this is really just defining the zones
No, I
themselves.
understand that.
But I thought the language you're talking about is for the appeal process, though, correct?
It is, which is still within the responsibilities and limitations of the various, of this group and the BCA.
Yeah, okay, that I understand.
And
Okay.
the only concern that I have in the language that you're trying to deal with here is I still would argue that the language was sufficiently clear as it was for my taste, but I'm hearing lots of other things which may need to be done, but I am concerned that it be absolutely clear that a parking garage is not a business.
Absolutely correct.
well, it's a business, but it may not be.
Well, only in the R3. Right now, none of the B zones is a parking permit as a principal use, so it doesn't matter if it's a business or not, it's just whether it's a permitted use.
Right.
Yeah, in zoning.
If it's not defined under convenience business, if it's not defined under retail or general business, and if it's not just defined under office, business, and professional, it's
Yeah.
not a permitted use.
But I think one of the issue that I think Ms. Bain pointed out was the idea that the language as it's being, at least as it was written and then was questioned, it's not clear what is the first floor now, and so I think that's a problem.
Working on it.
Yeah, we're working on that. On A2. That's correct. All right, Paul. All right, well, I think we need to move on. I do appreciate your comments, Mr. Lewis. Last on communications that's not been included on there is the PUD issue. I did get a response from Pat Lang, and he had spoken with some members. I believe, I'm not sure who he had said, if it was Paskey or...
It was both of us.
Okay, both of you. And I just want to share that with you now. And it's basically how it is defined. It should go back to the BZA, because what happens is once Planning Commission approves a PUD, the zoning map is amended with that PUD. So once the zoning map is amended, that falls under the purvey of the BZA.
Boy, they're going to be mad.
Well, and that's, I had found that clause within the title, in the PUD title, and sent that to Lang, and he seemed to agree that that's where the language lied.
I don't have any problem with that, but my concern is that if you have a PUD that has very relaxed restrictions, even more relaxed than they are today, if one person in the midst of the PUD chooses to ask for more than their share of the common, then it is a problem. I guess my caution to every person out there is be careful then when you buy into one of these things, because who knows what's going to happen to the house next door to you.
Right. Well,
Although the BZA may be more strict than this body would be.
Right, well, I mean, you got to be really clear what the restrictions are in that PUD, before buying in, because those are how the zoning map should have been amended to include those items.
I mean, the past is the past, but this particular case forward is what we're talking about.
I think he also had I found language in I think it was Madison, Wisconsin, that provided a clear language of what happens if changes are proposed to a PUD after already being accepted.
I think you forwarded those.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's what was.
And so that's something maybe we should look at another meeting
I
of
agree.
putting in some sort of language in there, that it does bring it back to the Planning Commission, I think, how they looked at it, but it has to also receive approval from the city planner, service safety director, as well as the, council person of that ward, the PUD
It's
says.
very different from when
Yeah.
you do business.
All right, so that was the only other communication that I had. Anything else?
Again,
All right.
thanks for doing all the zoning stuff.
And we'll keep going. Next, we have reports from the city planner and director of development and code enforcement. Who'd like to go first?
You always go
Sure.
After you.
Next week on the 12th, there will be a town hall meeting on housing. That meeting will be at 6:30 PM at the community center. Should last about 2 hours. The
Specifically, housing for those in need and the disadvantaged.
Oh, yes.
I think they titled it, "Won't You Be My Neighbor?"
Housing and Recovery for People in Need.
Thank you.
Is the title, yeah. I received communication from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources this week. This is in relation to some floodplain issues. ODNR will be doing what they call a risk map project for Athens County. This map will provide the city and the county with some new tools, information, as well as some updated maps that reflect current flood risk. They're going to be doing a large section of the Hocking. I'm trying to find out the specific parameters to it. It says it's a new detailed study for 30 miles of the river. It will update the current Hocking River Zone AE, which is what all of the Hocking River in Athens is. That's an A zone with elevations provided. And it'll end south of the city of Athens. They're also doing 6 miles of the Monday Creek, which was a large, significant problem with the current maps. Many of us thought the Monday Creek was incorrectly mapped. They'll also be looking at the changes since the last firm, which is the map that was back in 2009. So they'll be updating that. The finished product for the actual maps is October of 2014. In 2012, they are doing hydrologic and hydraulic data studies, as well as mapping and creating some databases. We expect that we'll have an updated study next year in March. There'll be an open house, ideally in April of 2013, moving through that and then getting everything adopted in 2014. So this is a really big study, I guess. It's not that most people have much interest in being involved with it, but it should have significant impacts and positive results to our actual FEMA mapping. The maps that we were given back in 2009 are essentially minor updates with more accurate photographs from the 1981 maps. So this map, because they are going to be doing actual detailed elevation studies within the city of Athens and within the county, we should have a lot more accurate flood mapping, which may mean that possibly we'll see more homes not being mapped as being in the floodplain, or depending on how good their engineers are and how incorrectly things were done back in 1980 and back in 2009, we may see actually more people added to it. So, however, I expect it'll be a lot more accurate map. Other than that, I've been working with Rich Campitelli, the Director of Arts, Parks, and Recreation, as well as Dr. Anita James and one of her communications studies graduate level classes. We are moving forward with putting together an Arts, Parks, and Recreation master plan. We have scheduled a public forum on that plan for April 25th at the community center. I believe it's a Wednesday night. That meeting will likely be at 5:30 p.m. The Dr. James's class will be handling getting public input and doing small group discussions to understand what the public at large, what they think about our arts, parks, and recreation facilities, programs, land uses, et cetera, and try to get some of that information. I also have another graduate student who's working on some detailed demographic analysis for the city of Athens and for the township surrounding it, looking at the 2000 and 2010 census and trying to figure out how age shifts and gender shifts and all those are occurring in the city to help inform some of the planning for that document. That's all I have.
Okay.
Questions?
One quick question. I know the Comprehensive Plan Review Advisory Board is kind of quiet now. Is there anything going on with that? Should we be bringing it back up?
Actually, Ed Baum and I are meeting tomorrow morning at 10:15. We had been working on, there was a discussion through the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Commission relating to a lot of the, there's many pages worth of environmental initiatives and things of that nature that are recommended in it. nobody at the city or at the planning commission or at city council who really has a fully formed understanding of what all that means in total. And so from those meetings with the advisory commission, we got on a discussion of that many communities in Ohio and around the region and around the country have codified environmental commissions, similar to how we have a shade tree commission and a planning commission and a disabilities commission. And through that, we had been looking at options with which, if such a board were to be created, what it would look like, what type of responsibilities it would have, and so we have been working on some of those ideas with Councilwoman Chris Fall and Councilman Oahu Ghazni. I believe he's aware of it as well. To consider that option and how you would make up a commission like that, what their responsibilities and duties would be, but essentially we were looking at as them being an advisory commission that could provide some guidance to the administration and to city council on issues like that. They would not be any sort of an approval board that developers or anybody would have to go before, but just really to try to give some advice to city council on those issues. So,
Okay, just wondered.
yeah.
Other questions? All right, Mr. Paskey?
We have here the drawings for a Title 41 project at 152 and 154 Mill Street. It will be, make sure I say this right, 6 3-unit apartments within this complex. I did do the preliminary review. The drawings are complete as submitted for Title 41 application. We have put the sign out this afternoon, so this will be on the agenda for 2 weeks from today. And I'd like to make sure each one of you get a set of drawings before you leave on that. And we should have the staff reviews back probably in another week or so from everyone. Also next week, Tuesday night, I don't know what the date is on it, 12th, does that sound right? We do have one BZA case, 63 North Court, also known as the Gator, the ex-Gator restaurant or bar. They're requesting to put in 4 apartment, 20 beds, building a 3rd floor on top of the building. With the commercial on the 1st floor, they were going to have to request a variance for off-site parking greater than 250 feet away, and for no parking for the commercial use on the 1st floor, as well as side yard setback variance. So they are on the agenda for Tuesday evening.
Sounds straightforward.
Yeah. So.
You're joking.
Yes.
And last, April 14th, I believe the mayor's going to mention it today in our collaborative with the Keep Southeast Ohio Beautiful, the Wayne National Forest, the Great American Cleanup, which will be patrolling or cleaning Route 33 within Athens County area, and contact Gary Chansey with Wayne National Forest to volunteer. So I think the mayor will have more information on that later today.
Okay, I'll remember to mention it at the press conference.
And that is it.
All right, any questions for Mr. Paskey or Mr. Logan?
Could I ask him what is currently at 152 and 4?
2 houses, 2 small houses.
And they're going to be raised?
They will be raised.
And the lot will be, is it 2 lots right
2
now? or one
lots
lot?
that'll be combined into one.
50 by 100 or something?
They are,
Yeah, again, what I'd like to do is, and I think time allows us to do this, is next week will be a preliminary review of the city's comments and the drawings, and we would not then be doing a vote on it till the next meeting. I mean, time allows, I know we made an exception at the last one because of the request by the owner to expedite it. Unless we get a request
and I think that's fine.
expedited.
I don't believe they're in any hurry
Okay.
because of the shortened off-season this year. With the changeover semesters, I believe it's their intention to start in the fall to have them ready by spring of 2013. So
Okay.
that should not be a problem.
Is it 4 stories?
They are
3.5,
3.5,
I believe.
yeah, and it's 47 by 121 each lot is, so.
Okay, if you're talking about having a preliminary next meeting, the meeting after that would be the one that we have in the evening? That will be on the agenda for our public hearing?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to do that if we don't have to.
Well, that's
So
what I was
that's-
asking. If they're not in a hurry, then you back it up to
Yeah, then we
the
back-
16th, it looks like.
And, well, again, let me pull my candy
figured out
title
last time.
41.
Okay.
They still have it.
Is that in the floodplain?
Yes,
Okay, so that has to have a total elevation.
they have elevated it and put some parking underneath, much like a lot of the units down there are doing.
Okay.
You want copies now? Or after the meeting, I can distribute them.
Yeah, may as well.
Right now, we're asking questions.
Yeah, I'd like to do that as well if we get up against something, because I don't want to have any other items on the agenda for that May 2nd meeting.
Okay. So you're going to give us some of the information now, but we won't act on it till 2 meetings from now, 3 meetings. I don't think we're in that mode. That's the punishment mode. Okay. Is this just one copy? Yes, okay. We will peruse it and hopefully our dogs won't eat it.
Seems like a lot of paving on there to get the 60%. All right.
Okay.
Calculations came out right now that the structure itself is at 19%, where 30 is allowed. The impermeable surfaces combined, counting sidewalks, everything, came out to 56.9%, where 60% is allowed.
Okay.
All right.
Is it, there's no parking in the front yard?
I'm sorry?
No, not parking in the front yard, just
No.
you still have a front yard.
Just looks like a sidewalk or something.
This is kind of
I think there's pedestrian arrows on there.
okay.
Okay, we'll look at that in the meantime and discuss at the next meeting. Any other items? Okay, opportunities for citizens to speak about items not covered on the agenda. All right, thank you. Announcements and other business. As always, our next meeting is the first announcement. It is scheduled for April the 18th in the same location at noon. There's a town hall meeting at 6:30 on Thursday, tomorrow?
A week from
Or a week from Thursday, okay. As well, and that's at the community center. Any other announcements? All right, if there's no other items for today, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.